Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Postal Service, on the verge of running out of cash early next year, is pricing out a wide range of possible reforms that, if passed by Congress, could address the agency's long-term financial problems. One of them would be eliminating its regulatory agency, which must approve USPS requests to raise stamp prices. USPS expects to run out of cash early next year, but is relying on some extraordinary measures to push back that financial cliff. Federal News Network's Jory Heckman joins me now with more. Jory, great to have you.
Hey, Terry. Great to be here.
Refresh us on how USPS got into this financial predicament.
Well, it sounds simple here, but the Postal Service is seeing a substantial loss in mail volume. That is its biggest, most profitable product. It does lots of other things, of course, like package delivery, but first-class mail is its most profitable product. It doesn't seem like much, 78 cents at a time, but those 78 cents add up over time, and it's part of what makes this multi-billion-dollar organization thrive and function. But what we've seen in recent history with the 2008 recession, for example, with the COVID-19 pandemic, you do see this large, aggressive, accelerating decline of mail volume that really doesn't ever come back. And so they are dealing with some element of that.
What possible things could be on the menu of revenue generation or cost reduction for Postal Service?
Yeah, so at this point, the Postal Service is shopping around a formal proposal that it will send to Congress. Postmaster General David Steiner was before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee back in March, and that's when he did publicly say that the USPS was going to run out of cash sometime in early 2027. And so he says, to address that, he said that it really falls on Congress to do something. This is no longer something that it falls within USPS getting out of on its own, that there are just so many various legal and statutory hurdles over the past decades that have really made it unsustainable for USPS to continue with its current business model. What that proposal looks like to Congress is still in flux, but I did get a copy of this accelerating progress document that USPS has been shopping around. It dates back to January of this year, and what it really reflects is Steiner asking various parts of the agency what they would prioritize as far as reforms. And so this is kind of think of this as a draft document that may influence what Congress will see later on. And this is kind of a grab bag of various proposals that have been kicked around for years and years. Some of this would be asking Congress and the Office of Personnel Management to address its contributions to retirees through the Civil Service retirement system. It argues that ever since the 1970s, when from the U.S. Post Office to the U.S. Postal Service, they say that OPM saddled more of the contributions on USPS as opposed to the other folks paying into that portion. But the thing that really got a lot of eyebrows raised was potentially getting rid of the Postal Regulatory Commission. This is a oversight body that approves stamp price increases, has to weigh in if USPS wants to close any of its post offices, really ensures that USPS is living up to its legal requirement of 6-day delivery to most addresses across the country.
What would actually happen in postal operations if you didn't have the PRC?
Well, there'd be a lot less oversight into USPS raising stamp prices, which it has been doing more regularly since 2020. The PRC back then did give the Postal Service more flexibility to set prices higher than the rate of inflation, recognizing that it was in some dire financial straits, that it needed more flexibility to do that. But USPS management says that's not enough and that they still chafe against this kind of oversight of the PRC having to give a thumbs up or thumbs down on those stamp prices. Basically, USPS has been saying it's been this hybrid of a government entity and a private business model, and that if it's going to function more under that latter category of private business, they need to move more quickly. And so they say that the PRC would be a hurdle to that.
And everybody's confident that USPS can regulate itself properly here? They don't need that oversight?
Well, based on this document, the USPS Board of Governors believes that they have enough diverse perspectives on this, that they have the subject matter expertise to police themselves on things like stamp prices. But what we have seen is that USPS has used this newfound rate-setting authority to great effect. What we've seen most Januaries and most Julys is that USPS has set the price of a stamp higher and higher. And so, case in point, in July, we will see stamp prices go up yet again. So this is perhaps one point against the USPS saying it can do this on its own.
Has the PRC defended itself publicly?
There was a hearing last week with commissioners of the PRC. However, they didn't address specifically what we've raised here with this document, this internal document. They did say that USPS, that the status quo is certainly not good enough, that they need to, going forward, more clearly articulate what level of service the public wants and how to pay for it, basically. This has been the two conflicting ideas that USPS has been grappling with for a while. For his part, Steiner has told Congress that they can really go one of two ways. They can step in and provide more financial support to USPS, the way that it would do for Amtrak or these other kind of quasi-government, quasi-business entity organizations. And what that would do is give it a little more breathing room. It would be able to continue to maintain its 6-day delivery the way that we've all expected. That's option A. Option B would be more of the cost-cutting thing. So that would be bringing down days of delivery. That would be cutting post offices. That would be trying to lower expectations of what USPS service looks like.
Jory, what happens next? Does this proposal get finalized, go to Congress, influence future budgets? Will you be watching?
Yeah, so pretty soon, I'd say within the next couple of weeks, this is supposed to be a document that members of Congress will receive. Unclear of how quickly Congress will be able to step in and act on this. We are, of course, speaking in the summertime, and only in a couple of months, it'll be election season, and members of the House will be pretty busy with that. And so unclear if this is the kind of issue that people will expend a lot of political capital to get across the finish line. USPS issues have taken a while to get very far in Congress. The last reform bill we saw was in 2022, and that took about a decade to get finished.
That's Federal News Network's Jory Heckman. Jory, will be watching this. We know postal issues are close to the heart of every constituent.
Absolutely.
Find his story at federalnewsnetwork.com.